In the media, there is a constant need for seamless resolution. Actions have to be definite. The grey, confusing no man's land is indigestible for the modern mind. Answers have to be concrete and consistent. And in queer media, this is seen in the need to place one's identity in a labeled box on a color-coded shelf. My whole life I've been hearing stories of people who know they were trans or queer since the age of 3 years old. And although for some people that is reality and good for them, I'm happy for them, for many it is not. For many it is a long, confusing, spiraling process of trying to figure out who you are. And it's often associated and depicted in the media as a struggle, as something you need to resist, and then finally when you accept it, you've accepted your one and only identity, and then you live with it your whole life, and you found all of your answers, and that is it. That erases a lot of the fluidity of one's identity. For many people, figuring out their identity only happens in their adulthood and may take years to fully develop and accept. And that is because people's understanding of sexuality and gender differ based on their circumstances, because those are fluid concepts and they are not set in stone. Everyone sees their identity differently and everyone perceives themselves and those identities differently. A lot of the media that depicts queer people often is simplified for straight people, or genuinely is just simplified, and it portrays this one-dimensional idea of, I don't know who I am, I feel uncomfortable, oh my god, I found out about queerness, all of a sudden I feel great because I've found my new me. And this erases your identity never being one thing. People's identities are not one simple thing, and people's identities also tend to intersect with other factors in their life. For example, it is more difficult for people of color to really understand and accept their identity because they will be treated differently from just like a white twink, a white gay twink, you know? They will be treated completely differently. My idea of my identity will be very different because I don't live in an English-speaking country, and for example, in my language, that is my native language, pronouns like they, them don't exist, and all things and subjects are gendered, which means that my perception of language used to gender things will be completely different than for someone who is English speaking. And a lot of non-binary people in Latvia, for example, choose to identify as he or she rather than using they, them. But I'm rambling right now. This whole video is actually about Lorde because I love Lorde, and it's about Virgin and how it is a blessing. Here is why I love the theme of identity in Virgin by Lorde. Also, it's a lyrical analysis because I'm a yapper and we all already know that. Thank you. The lyrics in Virgin by Lorde amplify the fluidity of one's existence. It talks about identity without placing a specific label on it, and rather the uncertainty of one's identity being confusing and scary, it is actually freeing. It is not caging like it often feels or is portrayed in other media. I burn and I sing and I scheme and I dance. Some days I'm a woman, some days I'm a man. Hammer is the first track on the album, and in my opinion, it perfectly encompasses the acceptance of one's identity. It speaks of rebirth and self-invention in a positive way and captures the aliveness of those feelings. It breaks through the mold of society and prevents your gender being the only thing that defines you, because there's so many other details in your life that define who you are. Those are not only your pronouns, that's your life, your circumstances, your birth control, and there's a really funny lyric about that in the song, but it's everything around us, really. Hammer is all about shedding your skin and letting whatever has to pass through. What was that reference? I might have been born again. I'm ready to feel like I don't have the answers. There's peace in the madness over our heads. Let it carry me on. This is my favorite lyrical message of the album. It's the revelation that your identity doesn't have to be determined. All queer people have gone through the spiral of questioning their gender and, trying to grip and hold on to that one and only answer, to that one and only hope that I am this one thing. But Lorde admits that she is ready to not have the answers and that she is ready to just live without them because it's not necessary to know everything about you, and sometimes you just need to understand yourself and live in the moment rather than try to figure something out in this messy concept of gender and identity in this messy world. The confusing and unexplainable parts of ourselves are not horrid, they are sacred, and there is serenity in the acceptance. Now I go about my day riding it like a wave, playing it any way I want, swish mouthwash, jerk off, days go by in a haze. Lorde said in an interview with Triple G that she wrote Man of the Year about feeling like she is the man of the year to herself. This was inspired by a red carpet event where she was wearing a girly dress, and she said she did not feel like herself at all, and she felt like she should be the man of the year in the Man of the Year award. Man of the Year is my favorite song. Here, Lorde takes the liberty of playing around with her gender and figuring out and finding her masculine side that she finds out she resonates with a lot. This song shows how fun and liberating can one's identity really be. In the lines, swish mouthwash, jerk off, it resembles like the classic masculinity, the classic sort of boyishness that I feel like, a lot of girls don't get to have when they're growing up. It's just this idea of messy masculinity that girls are not prohibited to have because messy girlhood is not that accepted in society. And it's this time of experimentation where your days go by in a haze, and it's letting oneself understand the life around them and what's going on within them without the societal pressure and the societal shame. How I hope that I am remembered, my gulcha in my shoulders, my face in delight. I didn't think he'd appear. Let's hear it for the Man of the Year. I find the words, how I hope that I'm remembered, to be truly heartbreaking because of all the queer people who were either genderqueer or trans or just, gay, but in the future in all the documents, they're ignored. They are either dead named or they are famously called best friends or roommates. And I feel like how I hope that I'm remembered is this sort of, pleading for society to see you as you see yourself. And in another interview, Lorde said how she tried to imagine herself as a man and how she would look as a man, and how she would be shirtless, just wearing jeans and a gold chain, which resembles the lyrics. And I think that I didn't think he'd appear is the perfect conclusion of the song, because it's this part of yourself that you never knew was there, but once it emerges, you are just sort of free to this new world. I truly love the portrayal of identity in Lorde's Virgin as the sort of borderless experimental state. It lets the details and feelings of the person speak without the societal pressure and shame of being a queer person or a trans person in the modern age. You're just being yourself. Hammer echoes the playful feelings of figuring and accepting one's identity. Meanwhile, Man of the Year rejects the societal pressure and builds the idea that we can all be our own Man of the Year. And that's the end of this video. This is a really short video. Actually, I wrote this for Substack. This is my Substack article. You can go follow me on Substack. And yeah, thank you for being here. I just wanted to make this really quick video. I love lyrical analysis. I love lyrics. I love writing lyrics. So that's just something I found very exciting. And this was a very serene and peaceful video. Very much not as messy as my other videos. I feel like now is the perfect time for my iconic outro. It's gonna be so funny after this very peaceful and chill video. Okay, bye guys. I hope you have a great day. Bye.